Hello guys, welcome back. On this one, I'm going to talk to you about another technique that we often use, mainly in the design sprint process that we run, but we use it a lot as well for brainstorming or just sketching. All right, so it's called the Crazy Eights. If you read the sprint book by Google Ventures or Jake Knapp, there's this component in there, but we use it a lot for just general brainstorming session. The reason why we use it is because it is well structured. It gives a time limit to people, and it forces us to create something under our subconscious mind. So I think it's a very good practice. It's a little bit crazy because it's called the Crazy Eights, but I'll show you how we do it shortly. So it's actually a very simple process. You only need a Sharpie for each person. So usually we do this in a group, whether it's a group of 4, 5, up to 7 or 8 or whatever. But it's a collaborative brainstorming session individually. So everyone does their own sketching. What you need is just a Sharpie for everyone. You also need a couple of pieces of paper, depending on how many times you'd like to do it, but you only need one for a set or for a session. We've got it in a clipboard because that's how we usually run our sprints. And also a timer, so it doesn't have to be one of these ones. You could just use your phone, or you could use any type of timer really, as long as you can time minutes, up to 8 minutes, all right? So I guess we'll get into it, and I'll give you an example of how we would do it if we were to, say, come up with ideas of a layout. And because we work on a lot of product pages on an e-commerce site, then let's map out some sketches around a product page layout, okay? All right, so here's how we do it. The reason why it's called the Crazy Eights essentially is because you're spending 8 minutes on this one piece of paper, one piece of A4. So what we'll do is we'll fold it 3 times, equal sides, so 1, 2, 3, and once you've done this, you fold it out and you've got 8 segments to your A4. In each of the segments, you're going to spend a minute of brainstorming time, whether it's sketching or whatever. Some people actually use this for copywriting as well, or logo design, stuff like that. But in Relab, we use it heavily for not online, but for layout sketches. So the example that we're going to use is, say, a product page for an e-commerce site, okay? So you've got your tools ready, you've got your timer. Usually you do it in a group of 4, 5, 6, or 7 in a sprint. And the facilitator, as a facilitator, I'd time a minute and pretty much start the process. So I'll time 1 minute, this is block number 1, and I'll spend 1 minute on this. So remember guys, this are actually just for you to brainstorm. It's not for you to present. So as long as you understand what you're doing and you understand what the elements are, that's all that matters. You don't have to overthink it, because that's not the point. The point is for you to just keep your hands moving and keep the ideas flowing. And eventually, at some point, you might find something that you did not think about before. It. And usually, depending on time, but basically this timer will beep and you move on to the next block, and you repeat that again 1 minute at a time until you hit the 8 minute mark. So while we're waiting, it's going to beep very, very soon, I promise. There you go. And as the facilitator, again, I'll set another 1 minute and the team would just move on. Okay. So guys, as you can see, we've just gone through a crazy 8 minute, but within that 8 minute, what we've done is 8 different versions of a layout idea of a product page, right? So as you can see, while I was doing that, I wasn't thinking too much about it, but as I'm repeating it over and over again, up to 8 times, I'm actually thinking and elaborating my thinking, my thoughts further, that I actually come up with some layouts that I didn't really think about before, but it was triggered by one of the ideas previously. So hopefully that makes sense. But we do this a lot on brainstormings, really, just to get the idea juice flowing. And what's great in doing this as well, and if you're doing it with your client, it's really great to see what their process is like in terms of understanding what they have in mind subconsciously. Because as you are doing this, because as you've only got 1 minute for each of the block, it's actually not a lot of time. So you don't have a lot of room to overthink things, which a lot of people do, and sometimes overthinking is not a good thing. So in doing so, you're time bound, but at the same time, your subconscious mind is being leveraged to come up with some great ideas. Okay, so if you've done something like this before, please do share your experience. It's going to be very, very helpful. But otherwise, I'd suggest for you to try it yourself and see what you think, and hopefully have fun doing it. All right, thank you guys.